So in 1947, the summer term, Charles Gregory said, would you like to do 4 weeks of touring of the Sadlers Wells Ballet, doing Sleeping Beauty by Tchaikovsky? I said, all right, sounds nice. So he said, well, turn up on Thursday morning at the Royal Opera House and go up to what they call the Crush Bar, and they will audition you. So I arrived there thinking, well, they'll put part of Sleeping Beauty in front of me and see if I could play it. And I walked in with my piston horn tucked under my arm, and the orchestra's leader. He was leader, orchestral manager, a remarkable man. And he said, what have you brought to play to us? I said, oh, was I supposed to bring something? He said, oh, never mind. He had a trestle table covered with parts of music, and he went through and eventually said, oh, here you are. Put some music on my stand. He said, start at the eighth horn cue. This was the first horn part, the beginning of Das Rheingold by Wagner. So I spent the next 5 minutes playing arpeggios in the key of E flat, which is how Rheingold starts. Again, this became a feature of my life some years later. Sitting at the side was a man with a very strong hawk nose. Nobody introduced him. He never said a word. Anyway, they said, we'll let you know. And they then said, yes, please come to Manchester. 2 weeks in Manchester, 2 weeks Leeds, I think. And I went up to Manchester and spent 7 days playing Sleeping Beauty. On the Saturday we had a matinee as well, of course. And in between the matinee and the evening show, somebody said, Joe Shabrick, the orchestral manager at Covent Garden, is trying to get hold of you. He's been trying for days. Well, of course, there'd been notes in the S pigeonhole, but I'd not told anybody I was going there, so I'd never looked in the pigeonhole. So straight after the matinee, I rang the number. He said, we'd like you to come on the opera tour. We'd like you to join the company. And starting on Monday in Glasgow. And I said, that sounds nice. So he said, right, we'll catch the train tomorrow up to Glasgow, and I'll see you at 10 o'clock on Monday morning at the Academy of Music. So I went back to the band room and told people this, and 2 or 3 of them had just got the sack from the Covent Garden Orchestra and were just doing this as the end of their time. And they said, oh, it's a terrible job. Don't take it. One of them was the renowned horn player, Olivia Galanx, daughter of the publisher Galanx. So after the evening show, so we're talking about 10 o'clock now, I rang the number again. I said, I don't think I'll do it after all. And he said, no, come on. I said, well, what's going to happen to, fourth horn in the ballet? Oh, I'll organise that all right. He eventually persuaded me that it would be a good thing. He said, come and see how we get on. So the next day, Sunday, I caught a train about 8:30 in the morning. A very sunny day, and I was in the corridor because the place was packed. I was in the corridor sitting on my suitcase all day with the sun pouring in. And it took from 8:30 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening to get from Manchester to Glasgow, because of course the engineering works we suffer from today are nothing to what they had to do to put the railways in order after the war, because they'd been a prime target for bombing. So Monday morning I go to the academy, and there is this hook-nosed gentleman, Eddie Chapman, Principal Horn. And he said, this young man is not going to play any of these operas until he's watched them. And so he said, you sit there. And he put me between my friend Sim Saville playing fourth horn and a most remarkable character, Jimmy Buck, on third horn. Now, Jimmy Buck was a very fine player, and he had to be, when he was in an army band, he was many years in a mounted regiment, which means he had to be able to play his horn on horseback. Anyway, he could spot somebody who was naive very easily. So when I was just getting a bit settled, out of the corner of his mouth, he made some comic remark which set me off laughing. And soon after I'd recovered from that, he said something else. After about half an hour, the conductor, Carl Brankel, said, Mr. Buck, this young man has come to learn the business, not to listen to your jokes. And so, of course, by then everybody knew I was there. And I sat in the stalls for the first 4 nights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I played Friday, Saturday matinee and Saturday evening. And it was a very good idea, because not only did I get the sound of the operas into my head, I did just a bit less looking at the audience, the stage. The pit was too small for the whole of the orchestra. So the first 2 or 3 rows of the audience had been taken out, and we were sitting up there. So, you know, we could see the stage better than we could see the conductor. So that was my initiation